Hi friends, today I'm going to teach you how to do this painting with bold, vibrant strokes and a painterly style. Let's get to it. Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. I'm Tammy K. Today I'm teaching you how to create a landscape kind of like this. And so we're going to do a very loose landscape style. I've got my flat wash brush, my liner, and a pencil and an eraser. So let's just go ahead and get into the sketch. So I'm going to do land just kind of at this mid mark here where the horizon line would be, and we're just going to create kind of some hills, and they're going to be covered up a lot by the trees, but we want to have some movement in this sketch. And so to create that movement, we want to add in some diagonal lines that show that there's things going up, going down, going over here. And that's basically what we'll do for sketching. We're gonna take our flat wash brush and just start dipping right into our blue paint here. And I want to make this really like wispy clouds. So I'm just gonna kind of go like this, some really long, maybe thin ones. And especially as it's higher up, you're gonna have the thicker ones, and then they'll get a little bit thinner as they get down more towards that horizon line. All right, we're going to rinse our brush, dab it, and we're just going to start trying to just move that paint a little bit, just kind of blending out those edges. I want these to be very light, wispy clouds, and I'm using a lot of water and just very little paint. I'm gonna do that for this one as well. And it's going to create some soft edges too. So adding in a few more here, and I'm just kind of moving my brush just a little bit, adding in a little bit of water to blend out. And then we might do a little bit of blue over here too. But there will be some trees hanging out here, adding in a little bit more blue paint. I'm working quickly, work at your pace. We just want to be very loose in this style. So now we're going to start with the ground, and we're going to need to mix up some various shades of various things. So I've got some green here, and I'm just going to start adding some of that green in like this, diagonal marks on my paper, and that is going to give us a direction on where these hills are going. All right, so I don't want to just fill in the paint. Let's get some brown too. I don't want to fill in the spaces with the paint, and that turns a little bit of green there. I don't want to fill in the spaces completely. I like some of that white of the paper to show through. Might do some brown here too, and I'm just holding it very loosely as we're painting pretty quickly and just moving with the motion that the hills would have, if that makes sense. They're sloping down, and we want to show that if we do flat marks, we're going to see a flat ground, and we don't want that here. Adding in some brown to these parts as well. And then we have some other greens on our palette that has more of a brown in it, and I might add some of that in as well. So I like these brush strokes. I like them to be angular and kind of painterly, and it gives a really nice look. It's very interesting. This is a style that I really love. And then you can dab your brush on your paper towel and just do some dry brushing. That was a little too dry. Let's try that again. So if I have some paint on my brush, mixing it with a little bit of brown, dabbing it, we might get some of these really nice cool marks. And right now it looks like a hot mess. We will define things up a little bit more as things dry. I do have this kind of yellow ochre type color on my palette, and I'll add some of that in too, just a little bit, maybe a little highlight from where the light is hitting the ground, who knows, and maybe at the top as well. And you can even put in some reddish brown if you wanted. So we will continue to add layers here, and I want to add some more color on this side. There's going to be a lot of trees here, so I'm just not really worried about what it looks like right now. I'm gonna let this dry, and I'll come right back. Okay, now it's time for our second round of color. So we're dipping into that green, and I'm gonna add some over the top of this. Some of this may not be completely dry. I just wanna add some really thick kind of brush strokes, and maybe even just do a little bit of dabbing too. But I like to drag and kind of pull it out like that. So we've got some brown on our palette, and there might be, some more brown at the forefront. I'm dipping into my actual paint well here because I just wanted to have a really nice solid dark color. So this might be just a little bit of a little hill on itself right there. And then I'm dipping into what it appears to be kind of that bluish green color. That one seems pretty intense. I'm gonna mix it with a little bit of the brown on my palette as well. And sometimes you just wanna add in some darker marks too, just for some interest. And a little bit more going down this way and down and out. Okay, I just want a little bit of color, this green here on my brush, just to fill in some of these spaces. That one is such an intense green. Some of these greens on your palette will not feel like they are very natural, and always add them, you know, with something else to create more of that natural look if you want. And so for example, because red is opposite of green on the color wheel, you can use red to desaturate your green. Just a little bit more of color right here. Just leaving a lot of those brush strokes unblended is what I like to do. Now we're gonna start in with those tree trunks. So I'm grabbing my brown paint and just getting a bunch on my palette, on my tray here. And I'm literally gonna start with pretty dark, intense paint. And we're gonna add some trees right about here. So I'm just going to touch down and almost in a sketching style, I'm going to just touch down and make those marks so that I don't have a straight line, because I want this to look very natural. And like I said, we're going for that painterly look, and so I don't want to look like I'm trying to do perfection here in any way. And I'm spacing them apart a little bit more, a little differently on purpose, so that we don't have a look that looks too uniform in nature. So we're just dipping in, going really dark right away. I'm just adding in some branches, just touching down. I don't want you guys to worry about this too much. In fact, if you are worrying, definitely take a deep breath, step back, maybe you need to take a break. Remind yourself this is practice, this is fun, and with every brush stroke, you are improving and getting better. And I'm so proud of you for being here and for attempting this and trying new things. And if you feel like there's anything you can appreciate about your composition so far, let yourself know what that is. Give yourself the permission to celebrate the things that are going well. And when you celebrate the things that are going well, you feel better about what's happening, you know, less anxious or conscientious or all those things. And it's not like we're going for perfection. I like to tell my art students all the time, we're not looking for perfection. We're just looking for practice and improvement. So I've got some trees over here too. This one I want to be a little bit taller than the rest. And we're going to cover a lot of this with foliage anyway. So just don't worry too much about your branches and what they're looking like, okay? I'm going to put another one right really close by. And so a little bit more forward than the other one, the previous one. And I think I'm gonna make this one like a little bit taller as well as that one, or just a little bit. And then let's get that foliage going. But not before, of course, I add another little tree over here, just because it makes sense to me to have another one. We have 4 here and 3 here. It's uneven, and that sometimes makes a little bit more sense in our minds when we have an uneven amount. It's more interesting to the eye. So we're starting with pretty light paint, and I'm just gonna start adding in these little brush strokes, and this will be our first layer. We're gonna do 2 layers of paint, at least, for these trees. So just keeping that in mind. And we can take our fresh water and actually blend this out. Now, my water does not look really fresh right now, and that's okay. We're gonna work with what we have. I am not worried about it. When we're creating art, we don't wanna be creating chaos and anxiety. We wanna be creating, you know, good memories and just, you know, observing things and encouraging ourselves to practice more. Okay, so clean brush, damp on the paper towel, or even just not even dabbing it on anything, but just starting to spread out that color. It's going to be light, it's going to need to dry, and then we'll come back, and I'm just spreading out the lines that we put in. I want to keep some of those angular shapes put it back in when I do more of the shadowy parts, and you'll see how I do that later. So I just want these edges to be really soft and really light and lovely. So we're gonna do the same type of thing over here. And it's like, you know, you could paint it a different way, just start, you know, scrubbing on paint, but I like this look, kind of putting this in the spaces where you want the color to go, and then after that's done, then spreading it out. And you can see it's looking really nice. It needs those shadowy parts that we'll do later. And so, you know, we're doing that first layer of color at least. All right, so spreading that out. And as we're doing that, if you guys are enjoying this video, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel if you don't already. It lets other people know that you are enjoying this channel and these videos, and that hopefully you're learning. And let me know in comments if you have any tips on how you make trees, or what kind of brush you like to use when you're doing landscapes like this, or any tips that I could learn from as well. I'm always open to learning from you guys. Let's do some shadowy parts as this is drying. So I'm gonna do a pretty dark amount of this brownish color. Just a little bit of not only shadow, but like grounding. We're kind of grounding these guys to the floor. And we can even make our trunks a little bit thicker if something doesn't look right. So really dark paint. And I do want to let you guys know I teach watercolor on Patreon. It's a place where people go and support my channel as well as receive bonus content. So the link is in the description, and it's where you can get private live stream access with a group, and exclusive tutorials every week if you choose, almost every week if you choose, depending on the tier you choose. There's even possibly art prints and a private chat group, all the fun that we can have there. So check it out, link in comments if you're interested. And we're gonna add some of that bluish green paint here. Just a little bit more just coming down the side, just for some emphasis. So, you know, you can see with the ground, you don't really have to worry too much about the lines. Everything is just kind of coming together. So I'm gonna let this dry. Actually, before I do that, of course I greened up this part. Just remove it. If you make a mistake, remove the mistake. Most likely you can remove something. Just like you can lift watercolor if you're careful. You can usually lift a good amount of it, if not all of it. A little bit more blue here. I just thought it would be fun over the thin marks that we already have, the thin light ones. And just a little bit more sky. I am going for that painterly look, and so we're gonna keep our brush strokes there. And I personally like that look a lot. Okay, I'll be right back after this dries. Alrighty, I'm back. I know it was like a second for you. It took a little bit longer for me to dry this, but I'm going with that really nice medium green color, and I'm gonna add in some brown. So we're gonna darken this guy up, and we're gonna do some painterly brush strokes for this. So it's really saturated, which means I probably didn't have to add in some brown because it already is really dark, but we're just gonna go through and add some more of those brush strokes kind of over the top of these trees. And I am working quickly because, again, I don't want to overthink some of this that I'm putting down. And I just want it to look really fun and not covering up the ones that are there, not completely, but just in addition to everything. And being really, I was gonna say careful, but I don't feel like I'm really being careful. Being careful to have fun, how about that? We can definitely say that. And you know, most of you, if you've been watching my channel, you know that I'm a therapist, and I always like to encourage you guys to practice, you know, self-care, taking care of you. So I'm curious to know, what are the ways that you will be taking care of yourself and giving yourself good self-care this week, or if it's the weekend. Let me know in comments, what are your favorite ways that you can take care of yourself, so that, you know, we can learn from each other. You can share, and maybe, you know, it's painting, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's not art related at all. It doesn't matter. On this channel, we are accepting and welcome of any types of healthy self-care that you are up to. So I'm so excited to learn from you as well. Let me know. And I hope that you are enjoying this so far. If there's something that you see that you enjoy, you know, make sure that you remind yourself, I like the brush strokes I'm making, or my colors, or I like how my composition is coming out, or I like my mental space. I may not like my painting, but maybe I like the attitude that I'm feeling that I have right now. You know, all those are valid things. I just want to fill in a little bit more of the space too, so that there's so much of an open hole in some of these trees. There we go. You don't have to see through all the trees. Okay, I think the last thing one of the last things, we're gonna try to do some lifting of some colors. I have a fairly clean brush, and I'm just going to scrub my paper a little bit right here to remove some of the color. And what that's gonna do is give us a little bit of highlight here down the landscape. And just like maybe the light is hitting there, and it's a nice little accent. It changes up. We can see this is a hill coming down here. It just gives a little bit of a differentiation. I'm gonna grab the black paint finally. I've got some navy and black on here, whatever, all the things. So we're just going to do a little bit maybe of shadow on one side, or just a little variation of what's happening on the tree trunk, a little bit of texture, and darken it up a little bit, because I'm noticing it's sort of fading into the background, in my opinion, and just needed a little bit of sprucing up, a little bit of darker. And we can even do a little bit more dark here too. On top of the brown that's already there, just a little bit. I like to add so many layers so that we have a very interesting either landscape or floral, whatever we're painting. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed this painting today. I really enjoyed doing this with you, and I'm excited to see you guys soon. We'll see you on the next video. As I'm saying that, I want to take off the tape if you want to stay and see this. I do like to tape down my edges when I'm doing landscapes and some florals. It gives us a really nice border, which ends up looking really nice for everything all put together and professional. All right, guys, take care. We'll see you next time.